Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're counting down the fan-created Souls bosses that prove to be the epitome of punishing.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Forsaken Knight Ornstein and Desecrator Smough, Dark Souls, Daughters of Ash. The most iconic duo in all of Dark Souls, their boss battle is legendary, with their second phase dictated depending on who the player vanquishes first, with the survivor receiving a tremendous upgrade in terms of size and power. Now imagine if both of them were powered up from the get-go. That's right, you have to contend with both Smough and Ornstein at once, both giant-sized and neither giving an inch, putting a spicy twist on a beloved classic. Oh, but that's not all. While cutting down one doesn't exactly give the other a boost, it does give them a brand new, devastatingly strong second phase. Ornstein, Scion of Naught, or Sun Eater Smough. Pick your poison. Godskin Matriarch, Elden Ring, the Convergence. What if there was an extra challenge waiting for you at the peak of the Divine Tower of Lernia? What if you were greeted by a third member of the Godskin gang? The answer is pure pain, because Godskin Mama over here is downright dirty, combining the likes of Orin and Fride's movesets and stances. Throw in the traditional black flames and an absolute bombardment of a second phase, and she puts the Godskin duo to shame. Is it masochistic of us to say how naturally she fits into this game? Euclus, King of Fallen Ulasil, Dark Souls 3, The Convergence. Nobody liked Halflight. He was the weakest cog in an otherwise exceptional DLC. So what if he was given the greatest of glow-ups? He might look a little something like this. The ruler of a ruined land buried in the depths of Dark Souls lore. Sure, he still spams those light spheres like no tomorrow, but now he's got a scythe with insane reach, the swiftness of the corrupted monk and Logarius' movesets, and can even teleport. The result is a million times more imposing, along with a crazy spike in difficulty, and would have made an excellent addition to the Ring City's canon collection of bosses. Aldrich, Saint of the Deep, Dark Souls, Archthrones. Everyone is familiar with Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, but what if we were to face him without his most famous puppet? The answer is an alternate version that is no less memorable. Despite now being just a giant slime monster, Aldrich utilizes ice magic as well as the Deacons of the Deep to great effect, combining both bosses in such a way that we can easily see some preferring this than facing down his traditional form. It's certainly a creative interpretation of what it would be like to fight the cannibalistic sludge before it got its maw on Gwyndolin. Artorius of the Abyss, Sif the Great Grey Wolf, and the Abyss in Artorius. Dark Souls, Daughters of Ash. The tragedy of Artorius the Abyss Walker is one of Dark Souls' most enduring tales, as is the fate of his fluffy companion. So, ever wondered what it would be like to face both at once? Well, worry no longer. What starts as the traditional bout against Sif takes the sharpest of turns, as Artorius enters the fray when the wolf's life drops below a certain level. Can it get any crazier? Of course it can. After Sif falls in battle, Artorius will transform into the Abyss in Artorius, which is just basically a reskin of Manus, aka the hardest boss of the original game. Sure, alternate versions of Artorius and Sif will be summoned to aid you in combat, but that doesn't make this fight any less of a marathon. Rhineblood Haiti of the Undead Legion, and Skull the Great Wolf, Dark Souls, Archthrones. We all remember the Abyss Walkers, right? A true test of skill for those just getting their feet wet in Dark Souls 3. As for Great Wolves, they're a true and tested enemy, known to cause grief due to the ferocity of their attack patterns. You see where we're going with this? Yep, both at once. It's as cruel as it is inspired. Rhineblood Haiti is a force of nature, with their attacks now able to cause frostbite buildup, made all the worse with their pet wolf leaping into your blind spot at any given moment. This is the one boss we feel like Miyazaki would have wanted to include if he could. Vessel of Rot and Scion of the Sealed God, Elden Ring, the Convergence. Malenia's legacy continues to endure as one of the most difficult bosses FromSoft has ever produced, and now that legacy has a new, bulkier and diabolical form. The Vessel of Rot is no slouch, attacking with its staff before eventually going feral and lunging forward, letting out bursts of scarlet rot all the while. But that is nothing compared to its second phase, echoing not only the Goddess of Rot, but also the Demon Prince. If you thought the abundance of scarlet rot was bad before, just wait. This thing is a monster that will trigger your Blade of Miquella PTSD. Kreml, God of Struggle, and Kreml, Profane Deity. Dark Souls, Archthrones. Taking a minor character mentioned briefly in Dark Souls' vast tapestry of lore and turning it into an epic boss battle seems to be the name of the game when it comes to this mod, and Kreml does not disappoint. Best described as a frosty Radagon, Kreml will go full hammer time should you let him, made all the worse with how he will also try and summon his personal guard to overwhelm you. This is then flipped on its head during his fiery second phase, and while the guards will turn against their master, it won't do you much good, on account of Kreml going all out with Artorius and Gwyn's most famous techniques. Pontiff Sullivan, Dark Souls 3, The Convergence. In his original incarnation, the Pontiff devastated every Ashen one he came across, thanks to wielding two powerful blades, a flurry of swings with the tightest of dodge windows, and being able to summon a shadowy clone of himself, just to rub salt in the wound. Overall, a top tier Souls villain and a top tier pain in the ass to deal with. So what did this mod do? It gave him a second health bar, and turned one of his blades into a spear, doubling the reach and breadth of his attacks. It's downright evil, and fits Sullivan's character to an infuriating degree. Might as well be the final boss at this point. Haid Phoenix, Dark Souls, Archthrones. Arguably the hardest boss from one of the most celebrated mods to ever be created, this Flamebird is a gauntlet, even by Souls standards. Aggressive beyond belief, the Phoenix will lash out constantly with talons and fireballs aplenty, complete with AoE attacks that completely fill the area, offering minimal chances to recover. You're going to spend a lot of time retreating, hunting for opportunities to get in the occasional strike, and praying you don't get singed. Recent tweaks have made it far more manageable, but to those who soloed this in its original state, you're a god among men. Which mod boss do you think best captures the essence of Dark Souls? Let us know in the comments.